So I'm trying to clarify this. This is before Arkansas found CWD?
Yes, sir.
So even though you banned it, you still got it?
Well, I'm sure we had it at the time of the ban.
I guess my comment is there's still no proof that carcass importation caused Arkansas's problem.
No,
That's
sir.
what we're all talking about.
No, it's unlikely that its presence in Missouri was related to the discovery in Arkansas.
But, well, thank you. Welcome aboard.
Any other comments? Audience? Commission? Excuse me, committee?
Are we taking action today, or are we going to wait till tomorrow when the entire commission can call? Or are
We don't have to take action. I asked earlier if anybody had any reason the agency shouldn't go forward with their recommendation.
I guess my thoughts are, as important as this is and the lives it's going to affect, I would like to see the entire commission be able to speak about it. So I'd like to defer till tomorrow. Unless there's nobody in this commission that wants to talk about it tomorrow. If you want to
Well,
stay,
we're in committee right now.
well, they can say yes or no, can't they?
We can do whatever we want. I think we crossed the line of being cordial on this committee about an hour ago, but yeah, it's a big issue, and we can do whatever's best, but we've been right where we're at right now the last two meetings also, the last two discussions. I don't have a motion at this point. I think, we should take every option we have if we feel like it is going to have a positive impact on trying to stop, slow down. I mean, not doing something because it's not we can't guarantee it's going to stop it. I have a hard time with that. I think we need to do everything we can to try to, slow down the spread of this. 27 states, feel that way, and I don't base what I do in here off other states, but, I feel like we need to do what's within our power to try to have some effect on it, whether it's right now or tomorrow or next year or whenever it is. But, every day you don't do something is a day that, you could have had a positive impact and you didn't.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, here in a second, I'm going to move to adopt the agency's position with regard to this, but I would say first that I favor this option B because it's unambiguous, it's enforceable. We've heard that from law enforcement. We've got to do something, and it seems to me that this is the one that makes sense. The other two, C and D, are be very difficult to enforce. They're very ambiguous. I think we have to trust our biologists, and our biologists are telling us that this is what they feel we need to do with a very, very serious and dangerous situation. And accordingly, I move that we, as a committee, adopt the agency's position with regard to option B.
We hadn't asked for discussion, but we will. I have a motion to adopt agency recommendations concerning carcass importation. I'll second the motion myself if I don't have one. Discussion from the committee.
If, Chuck, if this does pass the whole commission, are we still going to go forward with contacting the Department of Ag and seeing what we can do about, importation of cervids and cross-state movements and trying to get some kind of working plan together with the department to where we can meet this on several different fronts? I mean, seeing as how the live cervids are, the high fenced and stuff like that are our highest risk. I mean, I think we need to hit this from every front that we possibly can if we're gonna do it, so. That's still gonna be part of the plan.
Regardless of action taken today, we're going to continue to work with the Department of Agriculture to do everything that we can do to minimize this threat or deal with the threat once it, if it's found in our state. So that will continue to happen.
Chris Richardson, what do you see as the challenges from your perspective if this passes tomorrow?
I mean, as far as the commission's authority to act, and it's hard to predict. I mean, there's obviously compelling arguments on both sides. Certainly, when a small business in Tennessee is affected, the legislature's listening to that. At the same time, when you tell the legislature that we're protecting against what is potentially a devastating disease to our natural resources, they're responsive to that. So we have some education work to do with our policymakers, but I'm confident that they will hear the expertise of the agency and they will respect the wisdom of the commission. That's why you guys are here. That's why these decisions are left to you and not left to the whims of the General Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And are we discussing the motion? Okay. So I don't actually, I feel a little remiss, not a little, a lot actually. I don't have much to contribute to this conversation. I will confess to members of the committee, I have struggled with this decision. I think it's a really important one, and to the extent that we are choosing to take action today, I'm still in the process of my own thinking. I'm not encouraging it to be postponed or any of those things. I'm going to abstain from this vote today. I've still got a lot of questions in my mind, and I wish that I didn't. And I'm very concerned about the issue, and I'm glad that we'll have continued conversation tomorrow. And so my apologies for not being prepared to make a firm call today, but I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Any other discussion from the Wildlife Committee? Any discussion from the audience?
I hate to get back up here and beat a dead horse, because I know y'all wanting to wind this thing up. It's pretty obvious that, you want to wind it up. But you keep talking about how devastating this is, and I just read to you that the states that have this chronic waste disease and have been dealing with it are trophy states. But yet you keep saying it's detrimental to our deer herd. It's going to wipe them out. They're going to eat our young or something if they get this disease. It ain't happening. It's Mother Nature's way of controlling the deer herd that the TWRA has done such a job in stocking, but yet they can't control. You have no way of controlling it. And that's all I got to say, because I know you're wanting to wind it up. That's it.
That's all right. Thank you.
Can I address it just a little?
Yeah, you can, because it's.
Chuck, would you explain how financially devastating CWD positive state of Tennessee would be to the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency? I know there's a page in our CWD plan that tells what all our response would be and how we would have to, what we would have to do to that.
Well, I'm not prepared to provide those numbers right now, but if I remember right, the economic damage assessment that UT did a few years ago, do you remember that figure, James?
98 million.
98 million. Thank you for that. And then I have the details, and I'll share the details if asked, but I reached out to Arkansas to see what financial impact it's had on them since they discovered it. And, their cost in responding already is well over $1 million. And, that may or may not be an impressive figure to you, but if you consider that, they're out that million that they didn't know they were going to be out a couple of years ago. And then the impact that that's having on their staff and having to deal with that. We're talking 100-hour work weeks. And, you know, I know from a staffing perspective, we're going to hit our comp time limits quickly working that many hours a week. So it'd be an absolute strain on our agency.
Yeah, anybody that has a question about that, get on, do some research about the economic impacts it's had in states that have a Wisconsin, check them out. I mean, and obviously, it's not in all parts of all states. I hunt in Illinois. I'm not close to the areas that have positive CWD, but people sure ask me if they're going to come up there. Are you from one of these counties? Because there's definitely an impact economically, and it's staggering. Any other comments? So I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the recommendation to adopt the agency? Let me start over. All in favor of recommending the agency adopt their verbiage concerning carcass importation?
Aye.
All opposed? Does not pass. If there's no more comments, I think, Mark, someone to come up, maybe?
Can we, I know we voted that proclamation down, but can this is going to be brought up again tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Is it? I mean, I'd like a full discussion on it, I guess, so.
If that's the committee's wish, well, that's exactly what we'll do.
Can I ask that of you?
What's that?
We bring this back up tomorrow for a full commission discussion.
Think of anything better you'd like to do?
I mean, it's up to me whether we do it or not. I'll say yes. You know, I don't know that it'll be productive, but sure.
I just think we've got 13 people up here, I think they all, and we're all very
Yeah, I mean,
passionate about
whether-
it. I mean.
Is there a consensus of the committee to continue this discussion tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, I've got an affirmation there.
Mark Goodland, didn't you have a comment before we get out of this? No. Somebody? Maybe not. You got, just you? Just say no. I mean, I've had people grabbing me all out here saying, don't close. You can say no. Don't just come up with something. You don't have to say something.
It's been discussed, as you can tell, it's quite a difficult issue, and it's not a really whole lot I can
No, I didn't mean to put you
add
on
to
the
what
spot. I apologize.
Chuck's already stated from the agency
No.
standpoint.
Don't make it like when I talk to kids in school and then like they put their hand up, you know, and then they don't have a question. Somebody else grabbed me, I thought from the agency, and wanted to make a comment before we got out of this committee, but maybe they changed their mind after.
Yeah,
but
I got some, Trey, before we get out of the Wildlife Committee.
Go for it.
I wrote it down so it'd be a little more understanding, but I'd like to encourage the agency to review its big game check-in and tagging requirements for hunters. In doing this, identify opportunities to ensure compliance and integrity of biological data and information gained from these activities. And once these opportunities or solutions are identified, encourage the agency to work towards implementing those enhancements. This commission and the agency bases a lot of important decisions on the information or data from these activities, and I want to be sure to do all we can to make sure our information is sound. I believe our data is lacking, to say the least. And I don't know if any other commissioners feel the same way, feel that they do, but some of them might say that. But anyway, just want to throw that out to the agency. I know nothing can be implemented for this season, and I'm not intending it to, and really don't want discussion today at all. I just, anyway, that's all I got.
Any other comment from Wildlife Committee?
I'd like to concur with Commissioner Holbert, I think our agency does a better job than most of collecting data, but our check-in system is, we give a lot of freebies, I guess, or we don't get the accurate data that we could be receiving when we did have the, check-in stations or whatever. I hunt Illinois, Canada, and some other places, and they use a peel-off sticker that you have to put on the game and before you ever move it. And it inhibits a lot of poaching and other things that are most normal people doesn't do, but I like the system up there. I don't know what the cost is of that system, and that might be a problem, but I do like the accountability of their systems. So that's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
If there's no more comments, that concludes the business of the Wildlife Management Committee.
Chairman Teague, thank you. Before we conclude, let me make some clarifying points here, and specifically to comments brought up by the public. Number one, not no, but something else no. Are we going to end the meeting just because we're trying to get out of here, period? We will limit comments. Typically, that's been to 5 minutes. A significant grace period was extended today, and you were given 2 warnings. That will be the practice of this commission until next March, and my gut tells me that will continue to be the practice of this commission. That's number one. Number two, there is a consensus amongst this commission that doing nothing is not good enough. Right or wrong, the good Lord will tell us one of these days. We also agree that this isn't going to stop it, but it may very well prevent it long enough for science to do its wonders. And every day there's new things coming up. I don't know what those will be. But our hope is that we can come up with a plan, and there are 36 states up there who happen to agree with us in some form or fashion, and the biologists to support them. We may disagree on approach, but we are listening to our scientists, we're listening to our neighbors. We have the Commissioner of Agriculture here today. Thank you so much for being here, sir. It is team ball. Not only is this an impact to the taxidermist, this is an impact across this state economically, that if it's not put in check, it will be devastating to this state. The heck with the impacts to this agency, to every county that has deer in this state. We take it that seriously. We've been talking about this for 5 months. I don't know why you weren't able to find this information. 4 months ago, we adopted a CWD plan that it had dust on it. It was in draft fashion. The May meeting, we had extensive discussions on the CWD. June, we had a train wreck of a telephone conference call, and I led it. We were trying to get through this, but that's why we're here today. We're taking this very, very seriously. We're listening to the biologists. Biologists disagree. I'm an engineer, and engineers disagree. But this is what we are going to be about. I applaud this committee for being proactive. I applaud the staff for being proactive. This is a tough one. And this has been on my radar since, I want to say, March, when Arkansas got hit at first, and I get a call from one of their commissioners. And it's been devastating to them. So we do not take this lightly. And if you think we're cutting off a meeting for time's sake, I suggest you watch other meetings from the past. That's not what this commission is about. I want to thank everybody for their time. John, I want to thank you for your hospitality. I'm looking forward to some more spirited conversations tomorrow. John, what do we need to be about? Is anything we need to do for the rest of the evening, meeting up with your team, or?
Well, we'll get together outside the hotel at 6:15 for the commissioners. Staff has the information for their stuff tonight.
If there are no objections, we'll consider the committee session adjourned. We will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock for the formal, I'm sorry. Commissioner Templeton, do you stand up, please, and let us acknowledge that you're here? Thank you. And I really do mean this. I know the cooperative effort just in recent weeks that your team has had with ours on this issue. Thank you so much. We need you. With that, we're adjourned until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you.